doesn't English have genders? Well, it did. Hi, hello, welcome everyone. That's at least what this man on your screen right now says about the English language, that indeed English had genders sometimes in the past. Today, as I was scrolling through YouTube, I stumbled over this little video here called Why Doesn't English Have Genders? Well, it did, by RobWords. It's already 5 years old. However, the topic sounds so interesting to me, especially for me as a German, from a German perspective, because as you might know, we here in Germany, we do indeed have genders, and it's very complicated. When it comes to using them grammatically correct. Is that even the right term, or is it grammatically correct? You tell me, let me know in the comments down below, and we'll jump into the video and see when were there genders in your language and how did they work?
If you've ever tried to learn a language, you'll know that one of the hardest things is remembering the genders. I mean,
True.
is this pen masculine or feminine? Is my shirt a guy or a girl? What about this soft toy alpaca? But if you've never learned a language, let me tell you that it can be a nightmare. In many languages,
Yeah, it can.
including pretty much all the other European languages, every single object is assigned a gender. And to speak the language properly, you need to know it. The great thing...
Also, one thing that's very interesting for all of you who don't know the German language, in Germany we do not only have two genders, like for example in Italian there are two genders, or in I guess any other European language that I do know there are two genders. However, in Germany we do have three genders, which is even more complicated than all the other languages out there. I don't know about Russian or Chinese or Korean or Japanese. I don't know about those languages, but the ones I know from Europe only have two genders, as far as I know.
You need to know it. The great thing for English learners is that we don't have that problem. You don't need to worry about whether to use le or la or de or het or der, die or das or el or la.
See?
We just have the. We don't assign a gender to every object we see. But here's the thing. At one point, we did.
I'm so interested in
English
this.
used to have three genders: masculine, feminine, and a third one called neuter. And like in German, in Old English, there were three ways of saying the, none of which were the. If you were talking about a masculine object, instead of the, you would say se. If you were talking about a feminine object, you would say seyo. And if you were talking about a neuter object, you'd use that word.
Pat?
Now, it looks strange, but it sounds very familiar. It's pronounced like that. No, I mean literally, it's pronounced like that.
That?
Our word the...
Wait, what? That. Okay. I do remember this combination of the A and E letter combined. We had that with another video that I've watched a few weeks ago. I think we're talking about a name that was used back then all the time, and it had these letters in them, and people were telling me that it's pronounced a or a. It's hard to figure this out when you read a comment how something is pronounced, but I think it was pronounced like an a. So this one isn't new to me. However, this one I have never seen is p, what looks like a p. So that's a th, that. And the T in the back is a T. Also, I think I've seen either of those combinations of words before in my videos that I watch for my members, because for my members, they really love watching videos or watching reactions of me about videos of Old English. I've watched some of them already, and I think I have seen both of those words before, but I don't know if I knew what they meant. That's a little complicated. But I didn't know this one, I guess. Maybe if it was in a video before, I'm so sorry. I forgot about it, but I don't think it was.
Sounds very familiar. It's pronounced like that.
That.
No, I mean literally, it's pronounced like that. Our
That.
word the and
Wait a second. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't want to stop too much, but I think this isn't a P. This is rather a version of a D if it's pronounced that. Because the first TH in the English language, if you took this term down here, the TH would be like pronounced similar to the letter D, which makes this dat. D, 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 maybe. That's it. And also, I do know that back then, the German language and the English language were quite similar. At least they were more similar than nowadays. So I do understand why they had 3 genders back then. Maybe it came from Germany and then it evolved into the English language that we know nowadays. And then all of a sudden it disappeared, like the 3 genders, and they went with 1. I wonder what happened that changed this.
our word the and these 3 Old English equivalents are what are known as the definite article, because we're talking about, the soft toy alpaca. But we also have the indefinite article, which in modern English
we have those
is
too.
a. In other languages, that also has to match with the gender of the object that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So French has a and une. Spanish has un and una, and German has ein, and eine. Old English
Again with
had
the 3s.
nothing. It didn't have an indefinite article.
Oh, it didn't?
Allow me to bring you the revelation that Old English had no word for a. But it kind of worked. This sentence here means he was a good king. What it literally says is he was good king.
Yeah.
But it still makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So back then, how did you
Okay.
know which objects were masculine, feminine, or neuter?
It's so weird to me because nowadays, if you look at the sentence like that, you're like, there's something missing. The sentence doesn't make sense. So back then, they talked like that and they didn't have the feeling that something was missing, which is weird with the knowledge that you have nowadays. I mean, looking back at the people back then, of course, they didn't miss the word a. For example, in this sentence, of course, they didn't miss it because they didn't know that it existed in the first place. However, looking back at it, it's so weird that you read the sentence and you're like, yeah, there's something missing. So the sentence wasn't complete back then, but they didn't really feel that it wasn't complete because for them it was, which is so weird. And it's obvious if you put yourself into the shoes of the people back then, it's obvious that they didn't feel that. But from the perspective of the nowadays, it's weird that they didn't. Do you know what I mean? It's so weird. That's why I love language and looking at the way how it evolved over time.
Masculine, feminine, or neuter? Well, like with a lot of languages now, it was kind of illogical, but you could kind of rely on the fact that terms referring to male humans were masculine, so man, husband, boy, and
King.
the same for female humans. They were always feminine, except, of course, when they weren't. The Old English word for girl was actually neuter. It's kind of like the modern German word for girl, Mädchen, is
Yeah,
also
that's
neuter.
what I was just
the
about to
CHEN
say.
at the end of the German word and the EN at the end of the Old English word are added to an object to give the impression of it being small. And that
See how similar this looks also? Das, that, Mädchen, Magden. I think it's spelled A over here, like in that, Magden. However, the A that you see over here, the A with the 2 dots, is a combination of the letter A and E. That's why it has dots. Tells you that it's not an A, but it's an E, which is like a combination between A and E. Do you know what I mean? So this and this is the same. And also the ending, like he said, it's, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. I love this.
to an object to give the impression of it being small. And that also has the impact of turning the word neuter. But even more mind-boggling than that, the Old English word for woman,
Whiffman?
withman, was masculine.
Ah.
Incidentally, there was also a feminine word for woman, Frau, which is kind of like the German Frau, right?
True.
If you have ever learned another language with
This is
genders,
so cool.
you'll know that the gender of an object also changes the words around it, not just the a and the, but also, for example, adjectives, words used to describe that object. And this was the case in Old English as well. So this sentence means the good king.
Mm-hmm.
The one below it means the good queen. And you can see that because king and queen are of different genders, the word good is spelt differently. But hey, we do have...
This reminds me of Italian, because I do know Italian. Maybe it's also like in Spanish, maybe even in French. I don't know French though. But in Italian, if you have something that ends with a, for example, la donna, which is the woman, and then you have like two women, it's not la donna, it's le donne. So the ending changes from A to E. There's a different reason for that in this sentence because it changes from feminine to masculine. However, this changing of the last letter from A to E, you will find that in the Italian language as well, just for another reason. That's what it reminds me of though.
Is spelt differently. But hey, we do have at least one example of this in modern English, at least one that I can think of. And that's the word blonde. If it comes before a male, it's spelled one way. If it comes before a female, it's spelled a different way. But apart from...
Wait, what? I had no idea. What? Really? Is that a thing? Wait, is that a thing that if you go to the library and get a book, like what's it called in English? A duden? A book about words and how they're written, how they're really supposed to be written down. If you open the book like this, would it be in there? Yes, it would. But do you really use it in day-to-day life as well? Or is that just a thing that's in a book somewhere? And if you do the day-to-day life thing, you could write it one or the other way. Because I never stumbled over this topic. I've been speaking English for nearly, I don't know, 30 years or something. And I never, ever stumbled over this topic. Granted, it's not a really big one, and you probably don't use that or write that word very often. However, this doesn't make sense to me because I've never seen it. Do you really use it? I want to know, do I have to remember that? Or is it just everyone will know what it means if you use one or the other? Let me know, please.
But apart from that anomaly, why has English done away with all of this gender stuff? Well, we actually don't know for certain. It happened during the Middle English period, so between sort of 1100 and the 1400s.
Wow, that early.
And the change appears to have started in the north of England and worked its way down. That's led to one of the theories why genders were lost, because the north of England before this period was part of something called the Danelaw, because it was basically being run by Vikings. And that meant people in the north of England had two languages around them. They had Old English, but they also had Old Norse. Now, both of these languages had genders, but the genders don't always match up. A bit like how now, in German, an apple is masculine, but in French, it's feminine.
Oh.
I'm going to be in so much trouble for drawing on the fruit. It's thought that having these two conflicting genders for the same object might have been enough for people in Northern England to just stop bothering with the gender. It's a theory.
Maybe.
It's worth saying that we haven't done away with genders completely. Not just the blonde thing, but you know, we still refer to he and she, and also boats and countries. We apply genders to those, despite their lack of genitals. However, English
and also to time machines used by the Doctor and spaceships. Because I called the TARDIS an it or a he. No, I called it an it in the beginning, and everyone was just shouting at me in the comment section like, it's a she. I'm like, what? The TARDIS is a she? Yeah, because it's like kind of a spaceship, and that's why you call it a she. That was completely new to me. And I adapted really quickly because, like I said, the comment section was full of people convincing me otherwise, so I believed them. That's very funny though.
Despite their lack of genitals. However, English has been on a millennium-long journey towards ridding itself of the needless putting of people and objects into boxes marked gender, and with the increasing use of they instead of he or she, that journey continues.
Oh,
Thanks a lot for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please do give it a
I
like
did.
and maybe share it, and it'd be great if you
I enjoy every single video of you, Rob. Like every single video. And I learned something in every single video. That's why I enjoy them so much. What is this one? Are these words really untranslatable into English? Oh, that sounds so interesting as well. See, I could watch like Rob videos from morning till evening. This is so cool. I love his channel so much. Also, this is such an old video, like 5 years old, and he looks so young. Not that he looks old nowadays, he just looks different, like we all do from 5 years ago. But I digress. This was a great video. I really had fun with it and I learned something. I want to dive deeper into this topic as well. I'm probably gonna watch some more of the videos talking about this topic, especially in my members section, because they are really, really interested in everything English language. But I'm also gonna upload videos on this normal channel every now and then as well. I hope you had fun watching this together with me. I'll see you in the next one. Have a nice day. Bye.